Hey guys, Michael the DC Multiverse Collector here, excited to be bringing you this review of the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Superman movie figures. Now this is not the complete wave, this is 2 standard theatrical figures and 3 deluxe theatrical figures. We'll get into that in a moment, but you'll see that we have Superman himself and Metamorpho, and we also have Ultraman, Mr. Terrific, and the Superman robot. An awesome looking array of figures, at least here on the table to start with. We'll get into the detail in a moment, but before we do, a big thank you to McFarlane Toys and Icon Collectibles for providing me with these samples for review. If you're looking to pick any of these figures up, I highly recommend you support your local Australian retailer. My favourites include Green Rock Comics, awesome store, free shipping over $100, and also popculture.com.au. I also have an exclusive discount code for Pop Culture that is 15 McFarlane. That's 15MCFarlane for 15% off any in-stock McFarlane Toys items. Tell them DC Multiverse Collector sent you. Now, let's get into it. These figures, based on the movie coming out in July. At the time of recording this, I haven't seen it. But look, I think the trailers look awesome. Visually, it looks fantastic. My main concern is that there just seems to be so many characters in it, so many plot lines. I wonder if it's all going to gel together organically. James Gunn is a very talented director, so I have high hopes. But what we have here are the figures. Now, like I mentioned earlier, 2 of these figures are in their standard packaging. You'll see that Superman here comes in the standard packaging, as does Metamorpho. They're at a lower price point, whereas Mr. Terrific, Superman Robot, and Ultraman are in deluxe theatrical packaging, which is bigger, slicker looking, really nice design on the box. The question is, do they really come with sufficient extra accessories to justify that price? I'll let you be the judge, but I have some doubts, and I really don't know that I could tell the difference between the 2 releases in terms of paint quality, sculpting, accessories. Perhaps the deluxe figures have a few more accessories, but, you know, as you will see, there's not much in it. So without further ado, let's get into these figures in detail, starting with the star of the show, Superman. So here we have the standard release of Superman as played by David Corenswet. And say what you will about the design of the costume, everyone will have their own opinion. I think it actually looks tremendous. Here's the data file on the back of the collector card. You can pause that if you want to have a look. It's pretty standard Superman fare. And on the front you'll see there is some artwork. Of course, it's a cartoon and not actually a photograph, which is odd. In terms of accessories, we really only get 2 hands, and those are flight pose hands, which are good to have, I guess, but that is it. That's the total sum of accessories for this figure, which is slightly light on and slightly disappointing, but let's see if the figure itself is good enough to make up for that. Certainly, the first impression is very positive. This is a very handsome looking figure. The McFarlane movie figures are always good in terms of sculpt, and this is no exception. I really love the level of detail here. There's sculpted detail all round, including on the cape. Got a nice texture to it, the S on the back. Disappointing we didn't get a cloth cape for the standard release, but it is what it is. The head sculpt, I think, is absolutely bang on. Really looks like David Corenswet from all angles. I think this is just a terrific likeness. Well done, Todd McFarlane. Yeah, even, you know, he catches the light and it looks just like the actor. Very good job. The hair looks great. Yeah, I think the paint and sculpt are both on point. All round, this is just a very vibrant, very detailed looking figure. I like the proportions a lot, even down to the boots. There's just a lot of nice sculpted detail. The panel lines, the crotch piece. It really shows the love and TLC that's gone into crafting this. And I think that's a sort of a special McFarlane touch. These movie figures are always immaculate, and it's great to see this is following that same course. The S on the front looks terrific. He sort of moves well. I'm always interested to see how these new sculpts actually move. It's pretty good. I mean, you can do the splits, you get more than 90 degrees. It feels good. We can get the double jointed knees. Yep, full double joint. That's nice. The swivel on the ankle. And we get some toe rotation. Yep, there it is. Looks and feels pretty good. Like I said, you get the T-pose. He's got the hinges on the wrists. That's nice. I like that. Allows for some gesturing. Let's see what we can do on the ab crunch, not much forward and a little bit back. That's very, very limited by the sculpt. Side to side, you get a little bit, and of course the full rotation at the diaphragm. His head will only go up that far because of the hair, but he can look down. It's a bit disappointing for a flying pose. You won't get him in a proper flight pose with his head sort of looking right up. Rock from side to side, and of course the 360-degree swivel, so that is pretty good. Now let's see if we can get this Superman into sort of a decent flight pose, which I think is the mark of any good Superman figure. Certainly, I'd put the flight hands on if I had a bit more time. I mean, you can do a bit with this. The ab crunch is pretty limited, and I think that the head, it's really that head articulation between the head and the neck that lets it down. You just can't get his head to look up, and that's, I think, one of the big weaknesses of the figure. Also, that plastic cape is just not very posable and dynamic, which really limits what you can do. But other than that, if you just want to have a Superman standing there on the shelf looking like David Corenswet, this is a banger. The colors are on point, the sculpt's on point, the paint's on point, the likeness is on point. So this is a winner for me. But let's see how he compares to another recent Superman figure like this Silver Age Superman. And you can see that Silver Age Superman is a little bit taller, a little bit brighter in terms of his color scheme. He, of course, has that wonderful wired cape, which I know it's an acquired taste. I love it. I just think it's so much more dynamic looking. But you can see this Corenswet Superman is a pretty beefy boy, even compared to this beast of a Superman. So I think these two together are a really good sort of meld of a very comic booky look and a movie look. There's a Superman flavor to fit whatever your preference is. Certainly, this new Superman movie, Superman, is one of the more impressive Superman figures we've got in recent months, and we've had quite a few good ones. So I'll call that a win. So now it's time, I reckon, we take a look at our next standard figure, and that is Metamorpho. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I don't know a lot about Metamorpho as a character in DC history. Let's have a look at the data file on the card here. You'll see it's Rex Mason. You can pause that if you want to have a look. And from this description, it looks like this Metamorpho may be a villain working for Lex Luthor, although he kind of has the air of a sympathetic villain who will come good by the end. No spoilers here, just my prediction. In terms of accessories, we get an alternate gesture hand in both of the color varieties, a fist and a gesture. You'll see that I've got the opposite fist and gesture hand on the figure at the moment. The figure itself is very, very unusual looking, which is befitting for Metamorpho. Like a lot of these movie figures that Todd does, he's gone all in on the detail and paint, so there is a metric ton of unique sculpting here all over the torso. I don't think there's a single reused piece here. It's all new sculpt, which you love to see. A lot of budget's gone into this figure. A bit of unfortunate printing there of letters on the back. You'll see here on the back that the legs are cast in this translucent plastic and painted, which gives them a very otherworldly look. The sculpt is excellent, and even the paint is applied sort of generously to give it a lot of depth, and I think that looks terrific. The face sculpt, I don't know how accurate it is to the movie. I've not seen the character as he appears in the film, but it's certainly a very, very detailed sculpt, and it's got a lot of emotion to it, which I like. These trunks have got lots of great texture, the folds in the fabric, I like that. The paint on the back of the leg here is a bit awkward. I think this just, despite aesthetically not being that pleasing to look at, quite hideous, you can't deny the artistry that's gone into this figure. I think it's, I'd be shocked if this is not a very accurate representation of what the figure looks like in the movie. It seems to have been done with a lot of care. This is interesting, and it moves too. I'm just sort of fiddling around here, and you've got the double jointed elbows. That's nice. It's kind of got a lot of expressiveness to it. You see the butterfly joint there allows you to sort of get some movement. I like that. He'll do all the splits, although these shorts do inhibit the kick out. Can't quite get to 90 degrees. Just the sculpt there prevents a lot of movement. Not quite going to kick his own butt either, but it's probably enough. You got the swivel, you got the toe articulation. Pretty standard stuff. Splits, okay. Yeah, this guy moves. You'll get into most poses that you probably want him to do. He can look up more than Superman and look down. You get the rock from side to side. Very expressive. I like that. And obviously the rotations. So that's really, really good. The ab crunch is decent too. I mean, this figure moves better than Superman just by virtue of the sculpt. Full rotation at the diaphragm, side to side rock. I like it. You'll be able to sort of contort this guy into some cool poses, I think. So overall, I mean, this is not the most aesthetically beautiful figure. It's quite hideous. It's sort of not appealing to sort of sit on my shelf. But I think after I've seen the movie and sort of formed that connection with the character, I think I feel a lot differently about this. So this doesn't hugely excite me, but I can tell that a lot of artistry has gone into its creation. But now it is time to have a look at Mr. Terrific. Now, this is the second Mr. Terrific figure that we've had in recent months. And while I'll do a comparison later, there's clearly a few differences here. Let's have a look at the data file. You'll see Mr. Terrific has real name, not applicable, which is interesting. Also interesting that he's part of the Justice Gang working title. I like that. So you can pause that if you want to read it. There's the art. Again, it is a cartoon and not a photograph of the actor. Always annoys me. And in terms of accessories, we get some face plates, which I kind of like, to be honest. You'll see we have this very, very neutral face for Mr. Terrific that sort of slots on the front. I've got an angry face on there right now. You'll see we also get a smiling face, which looks quite nice. I like that. A big sort of toothy grin. Not bad, not bad. And we get a third face, which is very neutral. And if you're asking me, it's actually identical to the other neutral face. What is the difference between these guys? Sorry for the bad lighting, but they are the same. These faces are the same. Anyway, that's bizarre. And we get two other hands, which look like they're for gripping objects with triggers, but I don't know what he's meant to be pulling. The ones he's got on right now have his T-spheres, and they look pretty cool, and so does he. I like the head sculpt. I know that this is the angry face plate, like I said. It looks really cool. I think it's probably the most appropriate for like an action pose. Pretty cool, pretty cool. I like the way this guy looks in terms of the sculpted detail, the paneling, the texture. Although this rubbery torso, yeah, I don't like this, guys. It is a thin piece of rubbery plastic wrapped around the torso. That's a very weird design decision. It's very squishy, very rubbery, and I don't know why they went that way. I mean, you can move him around. There's no problem there. It just looks really cheap for some reason, and I don't get why they've done this. That confuses me. If you've got any ideas, let me know. Although maybe it's just to get this gorgeous sculpted lettering on the back and the fair play on the sleeves. That is sculpted detail, beautifully painted, beautifully sculpted, and a key detail for the character. So that is really nice. I think the detail all round is excellent. And the figure actually moves pretty well too. Like the articulation's pretty standard, but you know, it's got the double jointed knees, can do the splits, kick out more than 90 degrees, the swivel and rotation at the ankle and toe articulation. It's all pretty good. I mean, he can look up that far. Oops, pulled his faceplate off, looks down, looks up, tilt from side to side, looks pretty expressive. I like that. I dig that. Full rotation. And at the waist, you can spin him around. Obviously, you're not doing much at the diaphragm. Ab crunch is decent and side to side is okay too. I just really don't like the look of that rubbery torso piece. The arms do everything. They're not too inhibited by that rubbery piece. You've got double jointed elbows, pretty good. Hinges at the wrist so you can get some good posing with those T-spheres. I quite like that. It moves well. It looks pretty good. It's just not that fun to play with because of that rubbery torso. I can't explain why. It just feels really weird and unsatisfying, so that's a shame. But anyway, let's compare him to the previous version of Mr. Terrific. This is more like it if you ask me. You'll see there's a lot of similar design sensibilities here in terms of the colour scheme and the basics of the character, the T-spheres, the black, the white, the jacket. I will say this new movie version has much more sculpted detail. It's using a unique sculpt, which is obviously always preferred, but the original version does have that soft goods jacket, which I quite like. I think it looks way better than what they've done on the movie figure. The T-spheres look good in either case. One's an accessory, the other's a sculpted hand, but it's a similar concept delivered pretty well. And for the head sculpts, they both use faceplates and offer a good range of expressions. I'm just a sucker for the comic book version, but again, once I've seen the film, I might be more attached to this version of Mr. Terrific from the film. So yeah, look, both very good looking figures, both good Mr. Terrifics. The comic book version has my heart. But turning now to the Superman robot. Now, we've all seen this guy from the extended trailer and clip that Warner Brothers released, and this guy looks pretty cool. Let's have a look at the data file. You can pause that if you like. You see this is number 4 robot. There's meant to be 6 of them, so I suppose you could army build this, but yeah, it could be tough given the expense involved, but the figure itself comes with a few accessories. Given that it's a deluxe theatrical figure, you see you get some alternate hands here, a gesture hand and a fist hand, but they're on spokes with no hinge, which will limit the articulation, so that's weird. You also get some face plates, and you'll see, oh, is this upside down? Yeah, it is. You'll see you get these face plates, but I'm not really sure what's going on here. Is that meant to be that he's dead or sleeping, or is it meant to be a different robot? And this is how you get like an army build. You just apply a different faceplate. I don't really know. It'll be hard to tell until I see the movie. This one looks like he's sort of narrowing his eyes. Very, very strange, but cool, I guess. The figure itself is sort of strange, but cool, I guess. I mean, I really like the colors. This blue is quite beautiful. You'll see that there is some painted detail. There's some sculpted detail. The paint on the arms looks really nice. It's a metallic paint. The chest is just molded plastic, but it still looks good and matches the paint nicely. Again, more paint on the legs. These very, very detailed sculpts of the legs as well. I mean, this is a unique sculpt in every sense. That head we've never seen. Yeah, it looks great. Like the paint for the eyes looks really, really nice. And of course, we do have a wide cape. I love a wide cape and gives you a lot of expression. So that's good too. And the painting on the chest for the number 4 is very crisp and clear. He moves weird. I mean, look at this. This unique sculpt allows for a lot of articulation in terms of the sort of splits and the, single jointed knees and only a bit of rotation on the ankle. Look at that, up, down, but no left to right rotation, no toe articulation. So that's interesting. It's actually more limited than I first thought. I was going to say that this guy's hyper articulated, but he's not. I mean, the shoulders, you get a bit of play here. So single jointed elbows. Yeah, look at that. Like a tiniest bit of sort of back and forth there. Bring the arms back and forth. How interesting. Yeah, and the hands have no hinge, so they won't rotate. They just spin round, I guess. That's odd, and it really limits what you can do, and it limits his posability in a way that's quite frustrating, because this guy feels like he should be almost limitless. And look at the head here. It's just on a joint neck and headpiece that you can sort of move up and down at the neck and rotate around, but there's no independent head movement. Let's see what happens at the abs. Yeah, so you got full rotation there, as you'd expect. Massive ab crunch back and forward because of that hinge there that they're allowed to expose. So that's good, I guess. How odd. Yeah, and very little in terms of rock from side to side. What an odd figure. It's kind of weird to hold. It feels spindly and sort of a little bit awkward, and it just kind of doesn't pose as well as you think it would. Maybe these are concessions so that it's more stable and can hold its weight. That could be it, but for whatever reason, it doesn't feel that great to play with. So I guess it's lucky it actually looks really, really cool. Anyway, turning now to Ultraman. Now, this is a really weird one because this feels like a spoiler to me. Have a look at the data file here. It just is a mysterious bad guy. So let's see how that all turns out in the movie. In terms of accessories, we get a bucket load of alternate hands. We get gesture hands, fists hands, trigger finger hands, just a mess of hands. So I guess that's cool, maybe. I've got the a gesture hand and like an open palm hand. They look pretty nice, and the figure as a whole looks pretty nice, even though I have no attachment to it, and it certainly doesn't resemble any version of Ultraman that I've ever enjoyed or read about in the comics. But yeah, like the detail here is really, really nice. There's not a lot of paint. Like got a bit of silver paint, a bit of black paint, but most of it is just sculpted, molded dark purple plastic and a bit of black plastic too. It's lucky that the sculpt is good. It's a real beefy boy, I've got to say. I'm really liking the mixture between texture and flat plastic. The head does not move much, nor do the arms. This feels like a big stiff boy. He'll kind of do what you want. You get double jointed elbows, that's nice. Minimal ab crunch, a lot like Superman, which, is pretty telling, I guess. Maybe even a bit more than Superman. Very limited rocking because of how tight that diaphragm sculpt is. Legs go up more than 90 degrees and obviously a double jointed knee. That's good. This is kind of fun to play with, I guess. A little stiff. You get the rotation here, toe articulation. I kind of like this. It just doesn't really read as anything approximating Ultraman, I guess is my beef with it. But it moves pretty well and it feels pretty good and it's well constructed and well sculpted. I just kind of don't get what I'm looking at. Like, I really need to see the movie for this to make any sense at all. And I think we can probably all guess whose actor's head is under that mask. Anyway, let's have a look at another version of Ultraman, released a couple of years ago as a Target exclusive Crime Syndicate wave. This is the Ultraman of my imagination, and you see there are some common design elements like that U on the chest, but I kind of think it's a shame that this version of Ultraman doesn't have that Superman doppelganger look. Of course, the original comic Ultraman is Superman from, another reality, another dimension, and I doubt that this Ultraman is going to be that. This Ultraman is probably going to be some sort of clone of Superman, which we've seen a million times before. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope it's a bit more interesting and that it's not just David Corenswet underneath that mask, but we will have to wait and see. Certainly, if you only want one Ultraman for your collection, you're not going to go for this movie version, and I suspect we're all just going to have to take a pause, wait, see the movie, and then decide, how essential this figure is to the collection. But there's no denying that objectively the figure is nicely made, nicely sculpted, put together, and is quite an impressive piece. What's missing is the context, so we'll have to wait and see. So here we have the 5 figures that I've looked at today, and it's a mixed bag, but I'm skewing very positive overall. I think Superman is the highlight of the bunch. Metamorpho is just a masterpiece of sculpted detail. All the figures have got beautiful sculpted detail. They're all very, very nice looking, which is no surprise for McFarlane and his movie figures. The Superman robot looks great on display, not that fun to play with. Mr. Terrific has that awful rubbery torso, but he looks awesome. Ultraman, I'm missing the emotional attachment to that design, but you can't deny the bona fides of the figure. And I think Superman, whether it's this standard version I've looked at or the deluxe one with Crypto, they're a winner, and the likeness for David Corenswet is bang on. So that's the star of the show. If you're only going to get one figure, I think you've got to get Superman. Of these 5, he's the clear winner. Then I'd say Mr. Terrific and Metamorpho. And then not far behind, I'd say Superman, Robot, and Ultraman. But there's not a bad figure here. They're all pretty good. And McFarlane usually does a great job with these movie figures. No exception here. So anyway, that is all from me. I hope you've enjoyed this review. I've certainly enjoyed being back talking toys with you. More to come soon. June is going to be a huge month for figures down under. So I look forward to bringing you my belated but enthusiastic review of some of the latest McFarlane offerings. If you've liked this video, please give it a like. And if you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. I'm not posting as regularly as I used to, just due to release schedules and cadence and other things going on in my life, but I'm hoping to amp things up as we get into the second half of the year, and I'd appreciate you being on the journey with me as a subscriber. Your patronage and support really means a lot to me. Anyway, happy collecting, and thank you so much for watching.